could make out from his statements. But on the whole, he also sort of rejected whatever talks, this back channel talks, the US media has been talking about. And just a few moments ago, we heard from the Pakistani Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar. He also took to Twitter and said that Pakistan is meddling in all of this. Pakistan is trying to mediate. So it's all happening. Many parties are claiming different things. US media reports are saying something else. Trump is saying totally different things. So it's just a matter of time before this unpacks itself and we have an answer.
Yes, Vishal. And of course, like you mentioned, the situation is developing by the minute. But thanks for getting us the latest. Tensions are escalating sharply in the US-Iran war. Iran has now prepared for ground combat amid reports of US ground invasion. Iran has also released video of troop preparations, perhaps in a bid to flex combat readiness. All this at a time when there's growing speculation that the conflict with Iran could move beyond airstrikes to possible US ground operations. Washington has already surged Marines and warships into the region, fueling questions over whether boots on the ground are next. Well, Iran's parliament speaker, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, has warned that Tehran is closely monitoring all US troop movements, cautioning Washington not to test Iran's resolve. All these developments come as US airstrikes have yet to achieve their key war objectives, which includes number one, the Strait of Hormuz blockade, and number two, securing important Iranian assets. The big question right now is talks or troops? What comes next in this high-stakes standoff as both the sides trade messages, trade missiles, and even mind games?
The buildup of troops is very different than boots on the ground. We don't have boots on the ground. I don't think that's the intention, but I think Iran should watch that buildup, and they need to take note of that.
Well, with the situation being so volatile, take a listen in what the top expert voices are saying on the possibility of Trump putting boots on ground amid the ongoing war. Take a look.
Upwards of 2,000 troops are being deployed to the region. One would imagine that that is mostly a negotiating ploy. Trump often likes to negotiate with a gun to his adversary's head. I think he wants to keep open the possibility of, for example, taking Karg Island, that key sort of thoroughfare for Iranian energy. I will say, though, I would be quite surprised if the United States tried to put boots on the ground, mostly because the mood in the United States is quite against the war right now. But longer term, if you zoom out, the United States has really tired of boots on the ground in Iraq and Afghanistan. And this feeling is on the left, on the right, among the military community, families that have been sending their children to wars now for decades. There's a real sense that what are we getting out of this? What is the upside?
Now you're in the sticky phase of these ground wars where the entry starts to become the beginning of attrition warfare. Not now, I want to just make clear, these are risk assessments where at each stage it's about 75% likely. It's never 100% likely. But this is what we are seeing. We're seeing a series of 75% likelies, and it's adding up to the trap. And that's why it's going to be, once those Marines are there, are we just going to be there for a few hours and take off after 100 or so are casualties? Think about that. Oh my goodness, the amount of pressure to stay, at least for 40% of the US public, which is Trump's public, will grow.
As I said, Iran wants this illegal attack to stop today, this hour. But if Americans are foolish enough to put troops on Iranian territory, I think some Iranian generals will actually welcome that, because it's easier to hit soldiers on the ground than hitting F-35s. So you will see many Americans dead. American soldiers realize they're fighting for Israel and Epstein class, so they're not going to fight that well, especially when they are close to the battlefield. You know, staying hundreds of kilometers away and just shooting missiles at ordinary citizens, that's not very difficult to do. But actually fighting on the ground, I don't think Americans can manage to do that. But if they're foolish enough to try it, I think you're going to have a lot of young families destroyed. This is not what Iran wanted. These are young people with young families. But every single death is the responsibility of Netanyahu and Trump because they started this war.
Well, there's a lot of opposition to boots on the ground, but a limited operation would not have the opposition that a major operation to overthrow the government would. And a lot depends on how successful it was. If an invasion or an attack on one of the islands were conducted and that was successful and that led to the opening of the straits and the end of the war, the American public would be quite happy with that. On the other hand, if it failed, if there were high casualties, then it would be very unpopular. I think that what President Trump is looking at is that the war is not very popular and gets less popular the longer it goes on. So he's looking for a way to end it quickly.
The U.S. President Donald Trump claimed today that Iran wanted to do a deal with the United States of America badly, but the leadership of the Islamic Republic feared being killed. Amid buzz around ceasefire, several Israeli media outlets are reporting that the U.S. president could announce ceasefire as soon as this Saturday, even before the peace proposal is agreed upon. Reports also suggest that the Israeli Prime Minister is discussing the matter with senior defense officials. As per reports right now, the Israeli Prime Minister has directed the IDF to strike as much as possible. That's the 48-hour strike surge by Israel that Bibi has announced in a bid to destroy Iran's army industry within a span of 48 hours. All this even as U.S. media outlets like the Wall Street Journal are reporting that the U.S. president has told his aides that he wants the war to end within the coming weeks. The Wall Street Journal report also suggests that the U.S. president wants access to some of Iran oil. According to Iran's state broadcaster, Tehran has firmly rejected a recent U.S. proposal aimed at ending the ongoing conflict, widely described by Iranian officials as an imposed war by the U.S. and by Israel.
And we're winning another one, I tell you. We're winning so big, nobody's ever seen anything like we're doing in the Middle East with Iran. And they are negotiating, by the way, and they want to make a deal so badly, but they're afraid to say it, because they figure they'll be killed by their own people. They're also afraid they'll be killed by us. There's never been a head of a country that wanted that job less than being the head of Iran. I don't want it. We listen to some of the things they say. We hear them very clearly. They say, I don't want it. We'd like to make you the next supreme leader. No, thank you. I don't want it.
Continue. They are productive, as the president said on Monday, and they continue to be. However, I saw a 15-point plan that was floated in the media. I would caution reporters in this room from reporting about speculative points or speculative plans from anonymous sources. The White House never confirmed that full plan. There are elements of truth to it, but some of the stories I read were not entirely factual. So I am not going to negotiate on behalf of the president here at the podium. What I will tell you is these talks are ongoing. We're not going to get into the nitty-gritty details that have been exchanged between the United States and Iran at this time. Again, I've seen a lot of speculation and reporting about potential talks that could happen later this week. Nothing should be deemed official until it is announced formally by the White House. I would not get ahead of our skis on reporting about any talks this weekend until you hear directly from us.
این که الان حرف از مذاکره میزنن، حرف از چیز میزنن، دقیقاً اعتراف به شکست هست. مگه نمیگفتن تسلیم بدون قید و شرط؟ پس چرا الان به اصطلاح حرف از مذاکره میزنن؟ اینها من حالا در مورد این توضیح خواهم داد ها که به اصطلاح مذاکره در کار نیست. ولی همین که دشمنی که دنبال تسلیم بدون قید و شرط ما بود الان میاد حرف از مذاکره میزنه، درخواست مذاکره میکنه، بالاترین مقامات خودشو بسیج میکنه که بیان با جمهوری اسلامی مذاکره بکنن، این یعنی پذیرش شکست.
At this point of time, the multiple back channels, various countries are working together to end this ongoing war. Let's now take you through which are those countries and what are they saying. First up is, of course, Pakistan. Pakistan has delivered the U.S. proposal to Iran. Then the second country is Turkey. And now Turkey is perhaps considered as a potential host for talks if there are in-person talks that takes place between Iran and the United States of America. The third country is Egypt. Egypt again says that we are ready to host meetings between both the countries. Another country, this is in the Gulf region, is Oman. Oman is perhaps relaying messages between both the sides. But at this point of time, with claims and counterclaims going on, what are the key roadblocks? Number one, Iran has rejected the talks, calling it resistance. Second, Iran has dismissed the US 15-point plan, which took place yesterday, and Iran has now given out a 5-point counter demand to the United States of America, which we will tell you in just moments from now. Third, Iran's demand for control of Strait of Hormuz, which US says that it cannot have. Again, with all these things going on, there is perhaps no sign of a viable agreement. And the White House has clearly said that Trump is prepared to unleash hell if there is perhaps no agreement made with Iran. So what are Iran's top 5 conditions to end the war after Tehran rejected US's 15-point proposal? First is complete halt to aggression and assassinations. Second, mechanisms to prevent future conflict. Third, guaranteed payment for damages and losses of all Iran's important infrastructure which has come under fire. Fourth, to end war across all regional theaters. By that, Iran also means the proxy war which is happening in Lebanon. And lastly, the fifth condition, international recognition of authority over the Strait of Hormuz. Hence, these are the latest top 5 demands that Iran has made. All right, we're getting you some breaking news at this point of time. This is regarding another vessel identified as Apollo Ocean, which has now been docked at the new Mangalore port, carrying a substantial consignment of 17,600 metric tons of LPG. Remember, this is Apollo Ocean, which has been docked, but this is not the first vessel to be docked here in India. Earlier, we also had 3 Indian vessels from Jaglarki to Nanda Devi and even Shivalik, who were carrying LPG and were allowed to cross through the Strait of Hormuz. But the latest that we are showing the visuals of Apollo Ocean vessel, which has now been docked at the Mangalore airport amid the ongoing conflict in West Asia. Well, the arrival of LPG shipments, of course, it is a major step by India to safeguard its energy interests. But Iran had earlier also said that we will perhaps allow India and 5 other countries to let their vessels, to let their ships cross the Strait of Hormuz. But right now, we have the visuals of Apollo Ocean, which has now been docked at the Mangalore airport, which happened last night at around 8 p.m. And the unloading operations will happen in a short while. Let's go across to my colleague Deepak Bopanna for more on this. Deepak, Apollo Ocean has been docked at the new Mangalore port. This is the 4th Indian ship to be docked there in India, perhaps allowed to cross the Strait of Hormuz. Number one, a big win for India's diplomacy, and also talk to us more about how this will bring some kind of energy relief in India amid the ongoing West Asia crisis.
Well, any consignment really coming into the country bringing LPG is a big relief, isn't it? And here you have the Apollo Ocean, which has brought in a huge consignment to the Mangaluru port. Before this, it dropped off a bit of LPG even at Gujarat, is what I'm learning right now. I just spoke to some of the officials at the port who are also telling us that this was the LPG that was brought in through Shivalik and through ship-to-ship transfer was, transferred to the Apollo Ocean, which is now brought in this particular consignment to, Mangaluru. But as far as, on marine traffic is concerned, it also does show that this is originally from Ras Laffan in Qatar, where this LPG originates from. But considering many countries have been struggling in the recent past to get their share of, crude oil and LPG supply, this will come in definitely handy, especially in different parts of the country. We've seen the LPG shortage, especially the commercial LPG shortage, hit restaurants and many of them shutting shop, some of them of course not able to really run their business as usual. Domestic cylinder shortages is also slowly seeping in. So this sort of a supply that comes in any form is definitely going to of course bring some relief to the government and in turn to the people as well.
Right, thanks Deepak. And just to tell our viewers, an Apollo Ocean carrying 70,600 metric tons of LPG has now been docked at the Mangalore airport. Well, Iran media reported that the country is now planning a law to charge toll fee at the Hormuz Strait. Many are calling this Iran's economic terrorism. Remember, the strait being controlled by Iran has been one of the biggest global concerns linked to the war, as it is a key oil and gas tanker route for ship movement and also a very important global choke point. Iran media reported that a draft bill for enforcing the toll fee is ready and that the government feels security at Hormuz will come with a cost now. Remember, Iran has already included its sovereignty at Hormuz as one of the conditions to end the war. This at a time when US and NATO allies are planning a timeline on it, but said it was a priority for the government to ensure free movement at the strait.
ناوگان خود آمریکا جرئت نمیکنه به این تنگه وارد بشه، چطور توقع دارن ناوگان کشورهای دیگه، نیروهای دریایی کشورهای دیگه نزدیک بشن؟ و ما به همه کشورها اخطار دادیم که اگر نیروهای مسلح اونها وارد این حوزه بشن، تنش رو بیشتر خواهند کرد، منطقه رو با مشکلات پیچیده‌تری مواجه خواهند کرد و حل مشکل تنگه هرمز هم پیچیده‌تر خواهد شد. من همینجا این رو هم عرض بکنم، تنگه هرمز از نظر ما بسته کامل نیست، بسته است فقط به روی دشمنان ما. طبیعی هم است، ما در شرایط جنگی هستیم، منطقه جنگی هست، دلیلی نداره به کشتی‌های دشمنان خودمون اجازه عبور بدیم و متحدینشون، ولی برای بقیه آزاد هست.
I don't have a specific timeline for you today, but it's obviously something the administration is working towards as quickly as we can. And with respect to oil, as you know, the administration has taken a number of actions to stabilize the markets. We directed the U.S. DFC to offer reasonably priced political risk insurance for takers through the strait. We issued that temporary waiver to allow countries to purchase sanctioned Russian oil to alleviate global pressures. We're working with the IEA to coordinate the release of another 400 million barrels.
Well, Iranian missiles continue to strike targets in Israel. The visuals on your screen right now will take you through the defining images. The war has very well entered day 27. The visuals on your screen right now shows a massive explosion in central Israel, which caused the car to dramatically overturn on CCTV. Well, building destroyed in Iran's Bandar Abbas after another wave of Israeli missile strikes in Iran. An 8-story building in Iran's Bandar Abbas was destroyed. And that's the visuals on your screen right now, which shows the massive destruction caused by the attack and the building reduced to rubble. Our next defining image shows you Iran perhaps showcasing combat readiness with the war escalating and US on-ground combat becoming a possibility. The Iranian army is flexing its on-ground combat might, and visuals on your screen show Iran commanders and soldiers ready for combat. Visuals coming in from the Kazvan province of Iran, which show several explosions in the Alborz industrial area. CCTV footage of Iran missile interception. Iran continues to send a barrage of missiles towards Israel, and visuals on your screen right now show an Iranian missile being intercepted over West Bank with massive ripples sent across the region. The incident was captured on this CCTV footage. All right, the balance of power inside Iran is shifting, and it's shifting fast. After the killing of top Iranian commanders, the system right now in Iran is reorganizing itself, and the man now at the center of that change tells us exactly where Iran is heading to. We are talking about Mohammad Bagher Zolgadar. Our next report telling you more about him.
The balance of power inside Iran has shifted, especially after the killing of Iran's top commanders by the United States of America and Israel. Iran has now appointed a new figure after the killing of Ali Larijani, who was Iran's Supreme National Security Council chief. His name is Mohammad Bagher Zolgadar. He is not a diplomat. He is not a reformer. He is a former commander of the IRGC. And his rise tells us exactly where Iran is heading next. Experts are describing him as a heavyweight security fighter and a dedicated hardliner, and represents a very specific type of Iranian power. Because he belongs to the hardline camp that sees the West not as a partner, but as a permanent adversary. Second, he is also an institutional insider because of his deep ties with the IRGC and functions as the backbone of the Iranian state. He spent 16 years at the highest ranks of the IRGC command, including serving as Deputy Commander-in-Chief. He also served in the 1980s Iran-Iraq War and helped shape the Guard's operational doctrine. He also co-founded the Ramzan garrison, which eventually led to the development of the Quds Force. The third aspect which makes him an eligible pick is that he is a security architect, and his expertise lies in control, managing crisis, and suppressing dissent. While his career spans decades of military and political experience, he has also been a part of some ugly controversies. His name is often attached with some of the Islamic Republic's darkest chapters. He is alleged to have headed the chain murders of dissidents in the 1990s, as well as the suppression of students' protests in 1999, and is often called Iran's dark horse. His appointment in the middle of the war presents Zolgadar with several immediate tests. However, with Zolgadar being named as Iran's new security chief, one thing is clear. The Iranian leadership is trying to add more military layers to the national security establishment, and a move towards strengthening IRGC's influence in the regime's decision-making. Bureau Report, NDTV.
Well, the world is now 27 days into the war in the Middle East. US President Donald Trump now claims that Washington is talking to the right people in Iran. But the question is, who are these right people? And is a deal really on the table? Our next report, telling you more. "27 days of relentless conflict. Over 3,000 lives lost. Oil markets in turmoil and global economy on edge. Now, a sudden twist.
No leaders left. The leaders are all gone. Nobody knows who to talk to. But we're actually talking to the right people, and they want to make a deal so badly. You have no idea how badly they want to make a deal.
But Trump refused to name who exactly Washington is engaging with. Reports point to a surprising name: Iran's parliament speaker, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, a powerful insider and a hardliner, a man who has publicly called Trump a filthy criminal and vowed to make him beg for mercy. Ghalibaf has flatly denied any talks with the United States of America. So who is Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf? A war veteran, former Revolutionary Guard commander, and a long-time political heavyweight. Born near Mashhad in 1961, he's contested Iran's presidential elections 5 times. He also served as Tehran's mayor for over a decade, credited with infrastructure growth but dogged by corruption allegations. Critics describe him as a security-first leader, linked to crackdowns on protests in 1999 and 2003. Yet, experts say he is also a pragmatist, with deep links across Iran's power centers, from parliament to the Revolutionary Guards. For Washington, Ghalibaf could be a key figure in any transition, a potential bridge, or even a power center in a post-conflict Iran. But questions remain. Would he be willing to strike a deal, especially on critical issues like Iran's nuclear program and control over the Strait of Hormuz? Ghalibaf himself has warned the strait may never return to normal operations. With the war entering its 4th week, any deal, if it exists, could reshape not just the conflict but the balance of power across West Asia. NDTV Bureau Report. On that note, we're slipping into a very short break, but come right back. Lots more lined for you here on Prime 5 with me, Raisha Zaid.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand. Motorola Signature, India's #1 camera phone. Grab Motorola Signature today.
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे, केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
Tamil Nadu votes decisive, uniquely the way it does.
Politics, power and cinema and all of that in an unprecedented Dravidian script.
This is not an election easy to call. It never has been.
And unravel grassroots conversations with the voices that matter.
That's why we travel across Tamil Nadu to get you the real picture. From the OG of Indian elections comes the next big political blockbuster. Because Tamil Nadu votes only the way Tamil Nadu does. Tamil Nadu elections on India's original election voice.
स्वामी रामदेव, आपके चारों तरफ एक चक्रव्यूह कसा जा चुका है।
इस चक्रव्यूह में 4 रास्ते भी हैं।
आपके जवाबों से ही आप इसे भेद पाएंगे।
ये शंकराचार्य जी के ऊपर जितना बोलना था उतना बोल दिया। पॉलिटिक्स इज माई पार्ट टाइम जॉब।
पार्ट टाइम जॉब में किस पार्टी की तरफ है?
वो हमको स्टूपिड करते हैं, हम उनको स्टूपिड करते हैं। जो भी इस इंटरव्यू में आए, पहले अनुलोम विलोम करके योग ध्यान समाधि लगा करके आए, नहीं तो ये उधेड़ देंगे। सबको हम प्रणाम करते हैं।
Across the country, he has tracked the pulse of power from Washington to Korea. Witnessed history being made in global capitals and conflict zones. Brought clarity to complex issues of national security and international affairs. Aditya Raj Kaul, covering international affairs like no one else. Only on NDTV network. Tamil Nadu elections. Don't play small. they play big. High stakes, high voltage, high drama. Before the blockbuster unfolds, the OT of election coverage comes to Tamil Nadu to track the elections, spotting the mood and bringing perspectives from every side. Battleground Tamil Nadu on NDTV network.
India, a land of story and resilience. 1.4 billion hearts share this home, and the responsibility to protect it rests with all of us. As India moves towards net zero, every step matters. Walk with us as we discover the people and ideas shaping a more sustainable India. India's Sustainability Mission, an initiative by NDTV.
Two worlds meet on the greens. Champions of the fairway, leaders of the boardroom. The battle for brilliance, the pursuit of precision. As Bengaluru hosts the season's final Pro-Am, NDTV DP World PGTI Golf Pro-Am, the course of champions, the conversation of leaders. 28th March, Clover Greens, Bengaluru.
इस चक्रव्यूह में 4 रास्ते भी हैं।
आपके जवाबों से ही आप इसे भेद पाएंगे।
ये शंकराचार्य जी के ऊपर जितना बोलना था उतना बोल दिया। पॉलिटिक्स इज माई पार्ट टाइम जॉब।
पार्ट टाइम जॉब में किस पार्टी की तरफ है?
वो हमको स्टूपिड कहते हैं, हम उनको स्टूपिड करते हैं। जो भी इस इंटरव्यू में आए पहले अनुलोम विलोम करके योग ध्यान समाधि लगा करके आए, नहीं तो ये उधेड़ देंगे। सबको हम प्रणाम करते हैं।
Straight from the heart of the newsroom to the core of the stories shaping your world. Join me, Gargi Raut, as I track all the developments as they break. Live from the NDTV newsroom, weekdays at 4 p.m.
अब मैं आ रहा हूं मुंबई, वो कहानी सुनाने जिसका मेरा और मुंबई से कुछ रिश्ता है। सॉन्ग बाय सॉन्ग, मोमेंट बाय मोमेंट, ये रात उतनी बड़ी होने वाली है जितना बड़ा ये शहर है। माय स्टोरी, इंडिया चैप्टर, मुंबई एपिसोड।
The man behind Roaring Lion.
Can you say a word?
Israel's warfighter prime minister on NDTV.
I spoke to our great friend, Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Spoke to him at length yesterday. Thanked him for his standing with Israel, standing for the truth, and for the enormous friendship of the people of India. They are much admired and loved in Israel. And I won't get into the details of the conversation, but I've spoken to him and I've spoken to many other leaders in the region and beyond. Thank you.
First word since he declared war on Iran.
Just behind me, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
An NDTV world exclusive to Aditya Raj call. Benjamin Netanyahu on NDTV.
Front lines of Kargil, the fury of Operation Sindhu.
So many.
Welcome back. In other news, India is holding firm amid the ongoing West Asia conflict, with External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar delivering a strong and a clear message on the country's diplomatic stance. Prime Minister Modi will also be meeting chief ministers of various states to ensure synergy over the ongoing conflict. Chief ministers of pole-bound states will not be a part of the meeting. Dr. Jaishankar asserted that India will not act as a middleman in global diplomacy, perhaps taking a sharp swing at Pakistan, and emphasized that Islamabad's ties with Washington are beyond India's control. He underlined that New Delhi continues to maintain balanced relations across West Asia. And all this amid rising LPG concerns. The vessels Jagvasan headed to Kandla Port and Pine Gas docking at Mangalore. We also heard the Apollo Ocean a short while ago, which has also been docked at the port in Mangalore. Perhaps giving a major relief to all the energy concerns here in India as the ongoing war enters State 27.
पीएनजी कनेक्शन को बढ़ावा देने के लिए भारत सरकार ने कल एक और गजट नोटिफिकेशन जारी किया गया है। इसका मुख्य उद्देश्य सभी स्टेट्स में पीएनजी कनेक्शन से संबंधित एप्लीकेशन फीस, अप्रूवल टाइमलाइंस को स्ट्रीमलाइन करने का प्रयास है। पिछले लगभग 25 दिनों में 2.5 लाख नए कनेक्शन दिए गए हैं। इसके अलावा लगभग 2,20,000 ऐसे कंज्यूमर्स हैं जो एलपीजी से पीएनजी पर शिफ्ट हुए हैं। इसके अलावा 2.5 लाख नई एप्लीकेशन या रजिस्ट्रेशन भी प्राप्त हुए हैं। हमारे पास लगभग सालाना 26 करोड़ टन कच्चे तेल को रिफाइन करने की कैपेसिटी उपलब्ध है। और ये मैं इसलिए बताना चाहती हूँ क्योंकि पिछले 2 दिनों से हमने देखा है कि कई सारे क्षेत्रों में रिटेल आउटलेट्स या पेट्रोल पंप के बाहर लाइन देखी गई है और पैनिक बाइंग भी ऑब्जर्व की गई है। मैं देशवासियों को विश्वास दिलाना चाहती हूं कि हमारे पास पेट्रोल और डीजल पर्याप्त मात्रा में उपलब्ध है।
While the world keeps a close watch on the war, politics is playing out in the country. Dr. S. Shankar spoke in the all-party meet yesterday, keeping a firm stand of India, referring to Pakistan's offer to host peace talks in the country. Dr. Shankar said that India is not a middleman in diplomacy and that India focuses on maintaining balanced ties across West Asia. Opposition has latched on to his comment and reactions are also pouring in. Congress said it was embarrassing for the nation that while they hoped the Indian government would create space for peacemaking, Pakistan has stolen a march. RJD also added that the minister should have opted for better words. UBT Sena asked why Prime Minister Modi did not attend the all-party meet. Meanwhile, BJD said that Pakistan's channel with Iran existed since 1971 and different nations have used it from time to time.
अब पाकिस्तान की तरफ है या इंडिया की तरफ है, राहुल गांधी ये फर्स्ट ही शुड क्लैरिफाई. ऑलवेज ही ट्राइड टू बिलीव हिमसेल्फ एंड ऑल्सो मेक अदर्स टू बिलीव कि जो पाकिस्तान बोल रहे हैं वो सत्य है. ये क्या भाषा है? आप राहुल गांधी जब से स्पेशली ये 10 साल में 12 साल में तो जब भी मौका मिला है ही हैज स्पोकन द लैंग्वेज ऑफ पाकिस्तान एंड नाउ आफ्टर डिमांडिंग ऑल पार्टी मीटिंग राहुल गांधी इज ऑल्सो एब्सेंट, टीएमसी इज ऑल्सो एब्सेंट. मीन्स हाउ इररिस्पॉन्सिबल बिहेवियर they are exhibiting. That itself shows that they are not having any interest about the India's welfare.
दुनिया में हाहाकार है, अव्यवस्था है, अराजकता है. भारत के अंदर हम एक शानदार और यशस्वी नेतृत्व में, प्रधानमंत्री जी के शानदार और यशस्वी नेतृत्व में सुरक्षित भी है और बेखौफ अपनी विकास की यात्रा को आगे बढ़ाने का काम भी कर रहे हैं. कुछ लोग हैं जो अफवाह फैला करके माहौल खराब करना चाहते हैं. कुछ लोग हैं अव्यवस्था पैदा करने का प्रयास कर रहे हैं. जब आपकी बारी आएगी आप तक रसोई गैस पहुंच जाएगी. जब आवश्यकता हो तभी आप डीजल लेने के लिए जाइए, पेट्रोल लेने के लिए जाइए. लाइन लगाने की आवश्यकता क्या? और अगर हम उतावलेपन में, अफवाह में आकर के इस प्रकार के किसी दुष्प्रचार और किसी अफवाह के चक्कर में पड़ते हैं तो लगता है हम लोगों की राष्ट्रभक्ति पर लोग संदेह करेंगे.
Well, right now, sorry to say that things are not looking so good. Now, it's a bit embarrassing for all of us. One of the reasons that I supported the government's restraint and silence on this Iran war was because I hoped that the government would use this to create a space for peacemaking and be a leading voice for peace, as the Prime Minister has often said India should be. But ironically, we see that it is Pakistan, apparently, that is leading the effort with Turkey and Egypt to do mediation. So I'll be happy about that.
Wherever the war happening, our stand was very clear. All earlier occasions. Unfortunately, stand is missing nowadays in India's foreign policy. Everything, at least government has to convene this type of all-party meeting earlier itself. They delayed it. Our stand is very clear. Whenever this type of situation comes, India should keep its stand as neutral.
पाकिस्तान अगर इसमें कोई रोल ऐसा अदा करे जिसमें कि जंग खत्म हो, तो आप और मुझे इसमें एतराज क्यों होना चाहिए? करें। अगर उनके अच्छे ताल्लुकात हैं इजराइल के साथ भी और ईरान के साथ भी, अगर अमेरिका का वाइस प्रेसिडेंट वहां जाके इन लोगों के साथ बातचीत करने के लिए तैयार है, अगर इनके बातचीत के जरिए जो है ये जंग जो है ये रुकेगी, तो मुझे तो नहीं लगता है किसी को इस पे एतराज होना चाहिए।
On that note, slipping into a very short break, but come right back. News and updates continues here on NDTV 24x7.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand. Motorola Signature, India's #1 camera phone. Grab Motorola Signature today.
PM will interact with chief ministers tomorrow evening through video conferencing on the West Asia conflict to review preparedness and plans of states, meeting to focus on ensuring synergy of efforts in the spirit of Team India. Donald Trump hits out at NATO, says NATO nations did nothing to help US with Iran. Trump further says US needs nothing from NATO and will never forget this very important point in time. US media says Trump could announce ceasefire by Saturday as he continues to claim talks are underway. As Iran denies it, Netanyahu asks IDF to strike Iran as much as possible as truce seems a possibility. Israel says a Navy commander in the Revolutionary Guard in Bandar Abbas, responsible for closing the Strait of Hormuz, has been killed in a strike.
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे, केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
स्वामी रामदेव, आपके चारों तरफ एक चक्रव्यूह कसा जा चुका है।
इस चक्रव्यूह में 4 रास्ते भी हैं।
आपके जवाबों से ही आप इसे भेद पाएंगे।
शंकराचार्य जी के ऊपर जितना बोलना था उतना बोल दिया। पॉलिटिक्स इज माई पार्ट टाइम जॉब।
पार्ट टाइम जॉब में किस पार्टी की तरफ है?
वो हमको स्टूपिड कहते हैं, हम उनको स्टूपिड करते हैं। जो भी इस इंटरव्यू में आए, पहले अनुलोम विलोम करके योग ध्यान समाधि लगा करके आए, नहीं तो ये उधेड़ देंगे। सबको हम प्रणाम करते हैं।
The fairways of Qutub Golf Course set the stage as the NDTV DP World PGTI returns for its 5th edition. From surgical iron play to composed putting on greens that run true. India's top pros joined the capital's corporate leaders for a celebration of skill, sportsmanship and connection. Watch at these times.
To understand the Tamil Nadu twist, join me in the midst of our people, language and politics. Vanakkam Tamil Nadu, here we come.
What is the current status of Iran's supreme leader Mojtaba Khamenei?
I can tell you that he's fine. I'm sure you have already heard about his message.
Haven't heard from Mojtaba Khamenei. There's some talk of him having been airlifted to Russia. There's widespread dispersion of power across Iran.
Mojtaba was generally seen as the most favored candidate by the IRGC, by the Revolutionary Guard. So what you now have is a military dictatorship with a clerical facade making all the decisions.
They are fighting an asymmetric battle. Does this, in a sense, force Israel and the United States to think about an off-ramp? The Iranian regime has been using asymmetric warfare against Israel for the last 3 decades. We have to make sure that their capability to do so diminishes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bolton, for speaking to us. We've heard of how Iran was planning to assassinate President Donald Trump.
Iran has tried to assassinate Donald Trump. They've tried to assassinate me too because of the successful strike against Qasem Soleimani, then the head of the Quds Force.
The voices that matter speak first and exclusive to NDTV.
Alright team, our new order show is ready. Now we need a promo. Something cool, something sharp.
Well, I'm sure we'll be having outstanding reviews, solid suggestions,
Expert advice, the latest trends. It's a lot simpler. We'll help people make the right auto decisions. It's got the cool stuff, geeky stuff, serious stuff, all of it, so that you can discover, decide and drive. I'm Siddharth Sharma and I am your Automate.
Will the rising sun win with a hand in hand? Will the two leaves and lotus bloom? Who will whistle to success in Tamil Nadu? To understand the Tamil Nadu twist, join me in the midst of our politics and people. Vanakkam Tamil Nadu. Here we come.
What seems settled for me is unfinished business. So I rewind. I pause, I reflect, I dig, until what's buried stands up to be counted. Breaking ground, not just headlines, the meaning behind them. This is Breaking Ground with me, Vedika Sood.
Across the country, he has tracked the pulse of power from Washington to Korea. Witnessed history being made in global capitals and conflict zones. Brought clarity to complex issues of national security and international affairs. Aditya Rajgol, covering international affairs like no one else. Only on NDTV network.
This is Nationwide at 6. I'm Gauri Dwivedi. The big story that we are tracking for you this evening is the statement that was made by External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar, essentially putting the India policy at the center, which is that India is not a dalal like Pakistan. It's not a broker the way Pakistan is. And he was referring to how Pakistan, many feel, could actually become a key stakeholder in peace talks between Israel, Iran and America. That isn't the case, is exactly what that comment was all about. There's been massive politics around it, and we're going to get you all those details about the big showdown that happened after External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar's commentary. But that's not it. This is a power-packed lineup. Whether or not 26 days later Donald Trump is going to actually invade Iran, whether there will be ground troops and ground invasion, you're going to get details of that insight from a US war veteran joining us on this edition of Nationwide at 6.
All right, while the world keeps a very close watch on the war, politics, viewers, is playing out in India. External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar, as I said, spoke at the all-party meeting that took place yesterday, where the government apprised all opposition parties of the firm stance that India has taken of this evolving conflict. In fact, referring to Pakistan's offer to host peace talks in their country, Dr. Jaishankar said that India is not a middleman when it comes to global diplomacy, and that India focuses on maintaining balanced ties across West Asia. In fact, opposition parties have in fact latched on to what this comment was all about, and reactions have been pouring in. The principal opposition party, the Congress, said that it was embarrassing for India, that while they hoped the Indian government would create space for peacemaking, Pakistan has actually stolen the march. It didn't end there. RJD has also weighed in, saying that the minister should have opted for better words. UBT Sena, in fact, asked why is it that the Prime Minister did not attend the all-party meeting. Important to note that the Prime Minister did address both houses of Parliament, after which the all-party meeting took place, even as BJD has also spoken with regard to this entire conflict. The politics of it is something that we're going to play out and talk in detail. But first up, listen into reactions coming in on that story.
अब पाकिस्तान की तरफ है या इंडिया की तरफ है, राहुल गांधी ये फर्स्ट ही शुड क्लैरिफाई. Always he tried to believe himself and also make others to believe कि जो पाकिस्तान बोल रहे हैं वो सत्य है. ये क्या भाषा है? आप राहुल गांधी जब से स्पेशली ये 10 साल में 12 साल में तो जब भी मौका मिला है he has spoken the language of Pakistan, and now after demanding all party meeting, Rahul Gandhi is also absent, TMC is also absent. Means how irresponsible behavior they are exhibiting, that itself shows that they are not having any interest about the India's welfare.
Well, right now, sorry to say that things are not looking so good. Now it's a bit embarrassing for all of us. One of the reasons that I supported the government's restraint and silence on this Iran war was because I hoped that the government would use this to create a space for peacemaking and be a leading voice for peace, as the Prime Minister has often said India should be. But ironically, we see that it is Pakistan, apparently, that is leading the effort with Turkey and Egypt to do mediation. So obviously, I can't be happy about that.
While those, of course, were reactions coming in of political parties, let's also now tell you exactly how India has responded so far. It's been 27 days of the conflict. It started on 28th of February with those strikes. And I'm going to walk you through some of the aspects of Indian diplomacy so far, which has been measured, weighed, and balanced, even as strategic autonomy has been the key focus area. First up, the moment the war broke out on the 28th of February, as I said, when Khamenei was declared dead on the 28th of February due to those strikes that were launched by Israel and America, there was no immediate condemnation that came out from India. Very importantly, Prime Minister Modi was working the phone lines and global leaders were dialed in as well. Remember, this was an evolving situation and it played out like that. Let me now then tell you exactly what happened the following day. This is when it became clear that it was not a single day strike, but a conflict that could stretch on for days at end. That's when the Prime Minister, in fact, made first call to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu 2 days after the conflict started. And Prime Minister also conveyed very important concerns with regard to peace and said that there should be early end with regard to hostilities. Let's now tell you exactly the number of leaders the Prime Minister dialed in when India took a firm, balanced position. In fact, he dialed 7 Gulf leaders, and that included key members like, of course, Mohammed bin Salman. He reached out to the Qatar leader as well as King of Jordan, all conveying all along that India stands with peace. He also condemned Iranian attacks on Gulf countries, which by then had in fact become extremely susceptible and vulnerable to Iranian drones and strikes. On 5th of March is when Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri visited the Iranian embassy. He wrote in the book there, he condoled Khamenei's death, and that in fact was a very important position that India took, and also optics of which showed that how India, when the Foreign Secretary wrote in the book controlling the death of the Iranian Supreme Leader. On 5th of March, Prime Minister Modi also called for peace, stressed for dialogue, and said that conflicts cannot be resolved solely through military actions. He dialed French President Emmanuel Macron as well, and once again stressed for dialogue and peace. On 12th of March is when he also called the Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian. External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar also dialed foreign ministers in the region, in the entire war region, and had 3 important phone calls with the Iranian foreign minister with regard to Strait of Hormuz. Remember, the blockade by then had become acute and impacted India from its energy security point of view, and safe passage was provided to Indian ships in the Strait of Hormuz. And that's when the Prime Minister also spoke in Parliament, saying that he's in touch with US, Israel and Iran, and said that India is on the side of peace, and Hormuz blockade, which by then had become very evident, impacting energy lines globally. He said that this was unacceptable. On the 24th of March is when US President Donald Trump dialed Prime Minister Modi, and issues with regard that was central to the West Asia conflict were discussed. And the Prime Minister then told the American president that he supports de-escalation and wants peace. That's exactly what the Indian diplomacy has been so far, the actions that India has taken. But let's now talk about the politics of it, as we've been talking. And joining me to talk on this is former Union Minister, senior Congress leader Manish Tiwari, someone who's in fact been speaking his mind out with regard to the conflict for the last 26 odd days. Thank you so much, Manish Tiwari, for joining me on this edition of Nationwide at 6. Let me start by asking you that, we are talking at a time when those peace talks seem to indicate that Pakistan could play host to those peace talks and those ceasefire discussions and those peace talks. In your assessment, while Pakistanis are rejoicing at the possibility of their role in the ongoing conflict, people like you, the sane voices, are in fact questioning the credibility of Pakistani diplomacy.
Well, first and foremost, what needs to be kept in mind is that 25 days down the line, the Straits of Hormuz still remain closed. 22 million barrels per day of crude oil, and we are not talking about LNG and about fertilizer and food, used to transit the Straits of Hormuz. Crude oil is down to 0.5 million tons. If you go by the information which is available in the public domain, it seems that Iran is ostensibly charging a toll to allow every ship to go through, except the IRGC ships which are carrying crude oil to China. So therefore, the reality is that for all Asian economies, which are huge importers of crude oil and natural gas, India not being the exception, we import 88% of our crude oil, almost 47% of our liquefied natural gas, fertilizers, other essential imports. Economies are at the moment stressed. So therefore, obviously, there is concerted pressure from various countries to see that the Straits of Hormuz should be normalized. Here, it is important to keep in mind that Iran has actually repeatedly rejected all the speculation with regard to peace talks. In fact, day before yesterday, in a coordinated effort, 4 very senior Iranian officials belonging to different arms of the Iranian state, whatever is left of it, went public to say that there is no negotiation taking place. But it's quite possible that some back channeling may be happening. And so therefore, at the moment, it is completely speculative as to who's involved, who is not involved, because before these strikes commenced, there were official talks between the United States of America. Witkoff and Kushner were talking to the Iranian foreign minister in Geneva. Those talks apparently had gone off very positively. 2 days later, you had this strike by Israel and the United States of America. So obviously, while Kushner and Witkoff were playing one tune, you had Trump playing an entirely different tune with Netanyahu.
Okay.
So it's an evolving situation. We have to wait and see as to how this pans out. At the moment, all the conversation with regard to negotiations essentially seems to be coming out of the United States of America. The other interlocutor, or the professed interlocutor in this space, Iran, has specifically denied it. And ironically, Israel has actually upped the momentum of strikes on Iran in the past 2 days. There's been, I think, the 86th, 87th, and the 88th wave of Israeli strikes on Iran as we speak. So this is where the situation stands, and the Hormuz remains closed. 3,000 odd ships are idling in the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman, and you have stressed economies all across at least the Asian continent, and of course in parts of Europe, which are waiting to see whether the Straits of Hormuz reopen or not.
That's a comprehensive assessment of how things look right now. Before I come back to the Pakistan aspect to it, the Dalal aspect to it, the politics aspect to it, let me then just ask you on the energy bit. The government, in fact, has come out and said that as things stand today, India is in a position to guarantee and ensure 2 months of energy supply for every citizen of this country. There is no dry out on any petrol pump, any outlet whatsoever. Even as voices from your own party have been saying and questioning that India's energy security and its energy policy is not in place.
Well, I hope that is true, and I wish that is true. Nobody wants to really wish any pain on the people of this country. But as I said while I spoke on the finance bill in Parliament, that there will be an attempt by the government to hold the line till the 29th of April 2026. That is the day West Bengal votes in the second round of polling. Post 29th of April, there will be a new economic reality in this country. In fact, I specifically asked the finance minister when we were debating the finance bill and by extension the union budget. As you know, the finance bill is a revenue augmentation exercise, that the assumptions on which this entire finance bill and the budget rests as to whether those assumptions and those premises are even valid any longer, because the budget was presented and the finance bill was presented on the 1st of February 2026. Iran was attacked by the US and Israel on the 28th of February 2026. We spend 150 to 160 billion on crude and natural gas import every year. For every $10 increase in the price of crude oil, your import bill goes up by close to 10 to 15 billion US dollars. And going by the predictions which are there in the oil space, even if the conflict was to cease today, crude oil is expected to remain above $100 a barrel all throughout 2027. LNG is a different case altogether. Going by reports in the public space, if the energy supply, LNG terminals of Qatar have in fact been knocked out, there are reports that 17% of Qatar's natural gas supply is off the market, and the IEA, the International Energy Agency, executive
some
director,
very valid points there, and your intervention, let me in fact just add to it that when the finance bill, or in fact when the budget was prepared, the underlying math was around $66 for the Indian crude basket. That has significantly increased. So those are credible questions with regard to our fiscal math. But I want to ask you one thing, sir.
It is $140.
Yeah.
It's $140 US as of 20th of March 2026. And as I was saying, just allow me to complete. The executive director of the International Energy Agency has said that 40 energy producing platforms, which includes oil fields, LNG terminals, etc., have suffered serious damage in the past 25 days in many countries in the Persian Gulf and the greater Middle East. So yes, you are looking at a very energy stressed situation. And I do hope that we have the supplies to hold the field or hold the line for 60 days. But frankly, I am a little skeptical because there was no clear answer from the finance minister yesterday, despite the fact that I had raised it very emphatically and vociferously.
Tiwari, then let me then quickly ask you this. All your questions are valid. You're raising questions with regard to energy security and stuff. Even as when the all-party meeting took place, many noticed that the principal opposition leader, which is Rahul Gandhi, was missing. And the government has also been saying, well, when you talk about the principal opposition party, when you talk about Rahul Gandhi, they leave very little scope with regard to bipartisan discussion with phrases like, surrender, Narendra and stuff like that, indicating that the room for discussion, something that the Congress has been asking for, something that you spoke also, is very limited.
Well, it takes two hands to clap. The leader of the House is not Mr. Rahul Gandhi. The leader of the House is the Prime Minister of India. And if you are convening a meeting on a serious crisis in West Asia or the Greater Middle East, obviously the Prime Minister of India, out of respect for the Indian democratic system, should have presided over that meeting. And had the Prime Minister presided over that meeting, perhaps the reality of participation would have been very different. And insofar as the polarization of politics or legislative politics is concerned, it did not start in 2014. If I may remind you that the original architect of the phrase that disruption is a legitimate parliamentary tactic was none other than the then leader of opposition in the Rajya Sabha, Mr. Arun Jaitley, who had articulated this doctrine when he justified the complete washout of the 2012 monsoon session of Parliament after washing out the the winter session of 2010 on a spurious and an absolutely specious C&AG report, which rested on the foundations of sand.
Okay. All right, Mr. Tiwari, I believe we've moved from 2011 to 2026 in the hope that legislative agenda would not be compromised, or for that matter, there would be some bipartisan agreement on issues when it comes to diplomacy and India's position with regard to global conflict. But thank you so much for joining me on this edition of India at 6.
Thank you.
All right, more updates coming in. And breaking news coming in, Israel Prime Minister has confirmed the Iranian Navy chief's kill. Hours after putting that message out, Prime Minister Netanyahu has said that Israel has eliminated the IRGC Navy chief. And remember, he was the one who was actually looking at the blockade with regard to Strait of Hormuz. And Bibi has said that the man leading the Hormuz closure is killed, and says that Iran Navy chief has been killed in the Israeli strikes. Now, how is this going to impact the entire conflict remains to be seen, because it all boils down to the Strait of Hormuz, which remains blocked. That's a choke point where Iranians hold leverage, something that President Trump has realized through the course of the last 27 days when this conflict has continued. Now, in fact, let's play out that soundbite as well on what exactly the Israeli Prime Minister said, confirming the kill of IRGC naval chief.
אנחנו ממשיכים לתקוף בעוצמה את המטרות של משטר הטרור האיראני. אמש חיסלנו את מפקד חיל הים של משמרות המהפכה. לאיש הזה יש הרבה דם על הידיים, ובנוסף הוא זה שהוביל את סגירת מצרי הורמוז. זוהי עוד אחת מהדוגמאות של שיתוף הפעולה בינינו לבין ידידינו ארצות הברית, במטרה משותפת להשיג את מטרות המלחמה.
Now, this was Ali Razai Tangsiri, who in fact led the naval wing of Iran's powerful Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or IRGC, who's been killed in a strike in the port city of Bandar Abbas. It's a very important and a prominent port city. And Commodore Tangsiri had been responsible for overseeing the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. This is the latest in the series of high-profile killings of Iranian officials since the very beginning of this entire conflict.
Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Naval Commander Ali Reza Tangsiri has reportedly been killed in a strike near Iran's key coastal city of Bandar Abbas. Tangsiri was targeted in a joint US-Israeli operation. However, there has been no confirmation yet from Iran. If confirmed, this would mark one of the most high-profile assassinations in the conflict so far. Tangsiri has been a key figure in Iran's naval strategy, leading the IRGC Navy since 2018, and was seen as the architect of Iran's control over the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most critical energy routes. He had also survived multiple assassination attempts earlier in the war. This comes amid a wave of targeted killings of Iranian leadership. Several top commanders and political figures have already been eliminated in the US-Israeli strikes. But despite these losses, Iran's system continues to function. Its layered power structure, combining clerical leadership, elected government, and the Revolutionary Guard, has ensured continuity. Bureau Report, NDTV.
Now, how this war is likely to unfold from here on, whether Kharg Island really holds the key to which way this conflict goes, are all those questions that we cover on the other side of this very short break. We come back on Nationwide at 6 with all those details on what happens after day 27 of this conflict.
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार विमल बोलो जुबान केसरी
आपको शायद पता नहीं होगा, अपार ने आईएनएस विक्रांत के लिए 150 से ज्यादा तरह के केबल्स बनाए हैं। देश के टॉर्पीडोस में भी हैं अपार के केबल्स। वंदे भारत भी अपार के केबल से ही स्पीड पकड़ती है और यही वायर्स और केबल्स हमारे घरों को भी पावर करते हैं। विश्वास इसमें अपार, तभी तो ये है देश का तार।
India, a land of story and resilience. 1.4 billion hearts share this home, and the responsibility to protect it rests with all of us. As India moves towards net zero, every step matters. Walk with us as we discover the people and ideas shaping a more sustainable India. India's Sustainability Mission, an initiative by NDTV.
Two worlds meet on the greens. Champions of the fairway, leaders of the boardroom. The battle for brilliance, the pursuit of precision. As Bengaluru hosts the season's final Pro-Am, NDTV DP World PGTI Golf Pro-Am, the course of champions, the conversation of leaders. 28th March, Clover Greens, Bengaluru.
मैं चक्रव्यूह में आ चुका। चारों दिशाओं में पत्रकार और 10 दिशाओं में कैमरे लगे। जो जिसके जी में आए पूछो, ठोक करके दूंगा जवाब। चक्रव्यूह एनडीटीवी पर मेरे साथ।
Straight from the heart of the newsroom to the core of the stories shaping your world. Join me, Gargi Raut, as I track all the developments as they break.
live from the NDTV newsroom, weekdays at 4 p.m.
Come te bene in capire I love you. Papà l'americano.
अब मैं आ रहा हूं मुंबई वो कहानी सुनाने जिसका मेरा और मुंबई से कुछ रिश्ता है सॉन्ग बाय सॉन्ग मोमेंट बाय मोमेंट ये रात उतनी बड़ी होने वाली है जितना बड़ा ये शहर है माय स्टोरी इंडिया चैप्टर मुंबई एपिसोड
Now, it's day 27 of the conflict, and tensions between Washington and Tehran continue to rise sharply after US President Donald Trump warned that Iran must get serious before it's too late, accusing Iranian negotiators of acting conciliatory in private while coming out with harder posturing in public. The rhetoric is being matched by movement on ground. US military assets, including amphibious assault ships, rapid deployment of airborne units are all happening and in fact are being repositioned towards the Middle East, fueling speculation about potential boots on the ground if the standoff escalates. And at the center of this entire issue is, of course, Kharg Island, Iran's critical oil export hub. In fact, 90% of Iranian oil export actually happens from this crown jewel of Iran. In fact, Iranian officials say the island is being fortified with additional troops, air defense systems, and coastal defenses, warning that any attempt to seize it would actually trigger a broader regional response. Washington, however, has not announced any plan whatsoever for a ground assault. The optics, though, of troop movement and sharpened political messaging are raising the risk of miscalculation. The coming days will test whether this is pressure diplomacy, negotiating tactics, psyops, or prelude to a far more dangerous confrontation that awaits the world. In fact, let me tell you exactly how the assault on Kharg Island could actually unfold if it happens. We've broken that down for you in 5 phases. The first phase, most important, which is where US could conduct precision strikes. You can see that. That could be the first phase. This, of course, how all of it is likely to happen is something that Financial Times has put together. But let me tell you what that first phase could mean. It could mean short, intense bombardment, something that US could actually do very well. And that could mean both air and naval strikes that could take place. The targets, of course, would be air defenses of Iran, command centers. They have been battered very significantly 27 days into the conflict, but they still remain. And along with that would be the coastal guns, equally important because it is this asymmetry of the entire conflict that gets exposed most through coastal guns that Iran has been using again and again. That could be the first phase of this entire Kharg Island invasion or attack. The second, of course, would be air assault. Again, something where the American air assault could mean that troop insertion could actually take place both via helicopters and, of course, by several other measures as well, V-22 Osprey as well. The forces that will actually be used there will be, of course, Special Ops, as well as Army Rangers and the 82nd Airborne Unit of American Forces, all of which could actually be part of Phase 2 of how the US may look to take Kharg Island. Now, how does this play out in Phase 3? Phase 3 is where it gets very interesting and, of course, also that much more complicated. That could be the amphibious landing in this, which could mean that the Marines move in from sea on USS Tripoli, and they would, of course, get support both through F-35 jets as well as landing craft and assault vehicles as well. Now, why is this the most complicated phase? Because let's not forget that while Donald Trump is saying that he has been able to decimate 100% of Iranian military, Iranian Air Force, an F-35 jet has in fact been hit. So amphibious landing is going to be the most complicated phase of this entire assault. Now, phase 4 is when they would actually seize the island. Let's put that out. This is where they would target the export infrastructure, they would target the oil terminals, and troops would be using facilities as cover. Now, why is this again very significant? Because when you talk about the facilities, when you talk about the oil infrastructure, this is the most important aspect of Karg Island. Karg Island is actually a very small piece of land, about 16 nautical miles away from mainland Iran, but also houses 90% of Iranian oil exports. So they're guarding this with as much as they possibly can. Seizing this island is not going to be so simple. Targeting those oil terminals is far easier than said, far more complicated because of the fact that it's going to be fortified because of how important it is for Iranian economy. Let's now come to phase 5, which is where the troops will be this is the hold and consolidate phase. This is where reinforcements would flow in. This is when, remember, they've been able to fortify, seize the entire island, and that's when American reinforcements would come in. What are they looking to secure? They are looking to secure the entire island. That would mean ports, airstrips, terminals, and also would mean in terms of ensuring that they have complete dominance with regard to that entire area. Again, one must point this out that a lot of it is actually war gaming that is taking place right now. How this pans out can only be best understood when one takes into account the extent of Iranian military that will be present there in terms of how much they've been able to fortify this entire region, which brings us to talk about the strategic endgame. That is the last aspect as far as this entire war game is concerned, which is where they will be able to exert massive economic pressure. And why will that be? Because US will control the airstrips, they will be able to control also the Iranian oil flow and force the Hormuz Strait to actually reopen. This is of course AI generated. We're putting this video out to tell you viewers that ship sailing is the ultimate objective of Donald Trump. He wants the Strait of Hormuz to be freed up, and this is what he thinks he can actually do, and this is how he thinks it could actually pan out. Now, whether or not it's actually going to happen is something that we're going to ask General Glenn D. Van Dyck, who's a US war veteran, joins us on the broadcast. He's a former commander of the North American Aerospace and someone who's been an advisor to the President and Secretary of Defense. Best person to probably help us understand, General, whether or not this war gaming that we are talking about, what Donald Trump's intent is, can actually happen. General, thank you so much for speaking to NDTV. Let me start by asking you, can US actually do a ground invasion? Can it afford one? Bitter experiences in Iraq and Afghanistan, have they been learned so far?
Well, the United States absolutely has the capability to conduct a ground invasion, but I don't believe that's the intent of the president. I believe moving forces, to include the Marines and portions of the 82nd Airborne, are to give the president options. Right now, those options, you went through them. It could be to seize and hold Karg Island for economic purposes. It could be to go extract the uranium. It could be to secure military infrastructure or critical infrastructure on friendly nation soil. So there are many, many opportunities to utilize the forces. But make no doubt about it, the United States can and could do in the future a ground invasion. But I don't think that's going to happen.
What do you think is then the intent of the kind of troop deployment that is taking place? You're talking about 7,000 Marines, you're talking about important warships, all of that being moved. What really is the intent? I know you mentioned from a point of view of mind games, but in your assessment, what really is the president's game plan here?
I think the president is looking to put pressure on the leadership of Iran by having multiple options from air, sea, land, to ensure our forces are safe and secure, but to have options for offensive military action within the country of Iran to seize their critical infrastructure. Ultimately, wars are fought by militaries, but nations wage war. And this is about securing the economic aspect and security of Iran, to put more pressure on Iran to actually capitulate to the desires of the Western nations.
Will Iran capitulate? You're also someone who best understands military strategy, from how it plays out from strategic to military to tactical, even sub-tactical levels. In your assessment, will Iran capitulate given how things are looking? 27 days into the conflict, they are continuing to hit.
Well, the first question I would ask is, who is in charge of Iran right now? I believe you're seeing the IRGC take control of Iran, and I'm not sure they will capitulate or even negotiate with good faith. So we tend to mirror image that they'll respond in the way we would respond. I'm not sure that's correct, and I'm not sure that they will actually negotiate in good faith. So the answer to your question is, I don't know. It's questionable whether we'll get to the end game that we want based on the Iranians' desire to continue and remain the regime in control.
You know, if one were to look at Karg Island, it's the crown jewel of Iran. It's essentially the one that's funding the economy, the war activities, everything. It sort of rests on that. But look at the topography also. Look at the location. Look at its proximity to Iran. Is an invasion actually possible?
Absolutely. An invasion is possible. It will come with risk. There would certainly be a large fight to seize Karg Island, but I'm 100% confident that the U.S. military, along with our allies and partners, could seize Karg Island if we desired to do so. But I don't believe that we're going to put boots on the ground.
How is that possible, General? If no boots on ground, then how is it possible?
To seize Karg Island, you have to put boots on the ground if you're going to go after it. And again, I think the intent of moving these ground forces in place is to give the president options. We'll see how that plays out. I don't think it's his desire to do that. But if we get to a point where you can't get to the political end states that our nation's senior leaders desire, then the president will have all options at his mercy, if you will, to take and put more pressure on whoever is leading Iran.
You know, you're saying that all of this is with the intent to ensure that negotiations take place, the fact that Iranians come on the table and talk. But some of the public commentary that they've been making, in fact, they've been saying that you want to put boots on ground, go ahead, do so, because we've been waiting for you for 2 long decades. Because Iranians say that they've got their military strategy in place, they've got the entire island fortified, and even the Strait of Hormuz, the 4 islands around it, they've been able to fortify all of it. How does that change the military planning as far as what U.S. is looking to do?
Well, I don't know that it changes the military planning. It is factors that must be considered in the planning. And we've had many, many years to watch Iran and calculate what we think it would take to seize the critical infrastructure and put the pressure on them. But again, I don't believe that's the intent of the president. We just must give the president options if he wants to go that direction.
President's intent was regime change. That hasn't happened 27 days into the conflict. If a ground invasion does take place, General, you know, it is likely to lead to, well, body bags. You believe it or not, you agree or not, the fact is, can any president in a midterm election year afford body bags?
Well, you're putting politics into the military dynamics of what we have here. And I think the president has been very clear that he's willing to risk political implications to secure our safety and security long term. And that's why he took the actions that he did to eliminate the nuclear threat, to eliminate the threat to the region from Iran's ballistic missiles, that they can then put pressure on other nations around the area. And he's shown that he's willing to accept that risk for political implications to make sure our national security is in place.
Okay. No, I wasn't bringing politics into it. I was just referring simply because President Trump himself has said that he is not going to get boots on ground. So just to that point, I have not got politics into it, because the moment I get politics, then I'll have to ask the fact that Donald Trump's ratings is at below 40%, which is extremely low. But, you know, coming back to the entire conflict as it stands on day 27, Many military experts believe that this could actually be a decoy for maybe more troops to bring in. The peace talks could be a decoy as US looks to get in more troops, more reinforcements. Your thoughts there on how you read the situation?
Again, I think it's given him options, and depending on how the talks go and the response of the regime or the IRGC, the president will make decisions to either bring more troops in to negotiate an end to the crisis and conflict, or to take further action, which may be ground in forces to put more pressure on them.
Final question I want to ask you, sir, is that as someone who's been in the Situation Room for long, what's your reading of the conflict as it stands right now? Was there an assessment that this could actually go on for as long as 27 long days?
Well, I think absolutely there was. We didn't think that this would be easy. We understood that they would fight. There would be resiliency amongst the hardliners in the country of Iran. We expected there would be more losses, actually, from an air perspective. But the activities that took place in June, the Israeli activities, really took out a lot of their air defenses. So I think that opened a door to make things go pretty quickly. But 27 days is not very long to dismantle the military and the military infrastructure of a nation as large as Iran. So I think the military aspect of this has gone superb. We've done an incredible job. The challenge is militaries don't necessarily win wars. Nations win wars. The military creates the conditions for nations to win war. And now we need to come to the conclusion of our diplomacy, our economic aspect of this, informational aspect, to see if we can come to an agreement that meets our national security objectives.
I know I was going to ask you the last question, but I have a follow-up there, which is that you mentioned that 27 days isn't long, and that has been factored in terms of the American military strategy. In your assessment, how much longer could this go on if those peace talks, those back-channel negotiations, do not lead to any breakthrough?
Yeah, I wish I had a crystal ball to tell you that. I don't think it's months. I think it's days and weeks that it would likely go on to get to a condition where the military infrastructure...
How much longer could Iranians hold this?
Well, militarily, they can't hold on any longer. We've decimated their military. So the question really to be asked is, can the military achieve political objectives? And I think the Iranian hardline leadership can hold on for years if they want to hold on. So the question is, can you get to a place where economically you can put so much pressure on them that they cannot function, that they cannot survive, that they have to capitulate?
All right, I'm going to leave it there. General Glenn D. Vandrick, a U.S. war veteran, with us on the broadcast, really explaining how things look like as far as this conflict is concerned. Already on day 27, with no end in sight as far as hostilities are concerned. Slipping into a very short break. We come back with lots more on the other side. Stay with us.
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार विमल बोलो जुबान केसरी
Sento la bolla mia zuttoriano quando si fa l'amore sotto luna come te va a stare la più mette bene in cappi di I love you papà l'americano.
Front lines of Kargil, the fury of Operation Sindhu,
So many attacks,
the chaos and cries of disaster zones, to fighter jet cockpits, and the world's most defining interviews.
It's incredible.
He has seen history break, live, unfiltered. 20,000 hours of live broadcasting.
Welcome to Left, Right and Centre.
Hard facts.
War-struck country.
Hard questions.
In the Ukraine.
30 years of trust.
In the Kargil area. North Ukraine. In France, in Italy. At Srinagar. Vishnu Shom for NDTV.
Vishnu Shom. Only on NDTV.
इनको यहाँ से जाना ही होगा।
जय मां दुर्गा!
There is no bigger battle in 2026. And nobody has reported Bengal like I have. Buckle up for an unforgettable election thriller. Will the BJP breach Mamta's fortress?
TMC जावे, BJP आसमे।
Can Didi fight off her life's biggest challenge?
BJP double engine সরকার এই লড়াই বাঁচতে হবে।
Battleground Bengal with Manogya Loiwal.
والنصف الأمارة ست اللونة ثم تبذت إلا بيو متبين كفي على بابا الأمريكانو
स्वामी रामदेव, आपके चारों तरफ एक चक्रव्यूह कसा जा चुका है।
इस चक्रव्यूह में 4 रास्ते भी हैं।
आपके जवाबों से ही आप इसे भेद पाएंगे।
शंकराचार्य जी के ऊपर जितना बोलना था उतना बोल दिया। पॉलिटिक्स इज माई पार्ट टाइम जॉब।
पार्ट टाइम जॉब में किस पार्टी की तरफ है?
वो हमको स्टूपिड कहते हैं, हम उनको स्टूपिड करते हैं। जो भी इस इंटरव्यू में आए पहले अनुलोम विलोम करके योग ध्यान समाधि लगा करके आए, नहीं तो ये उधेड़ देंगे। सबको हम प्रणाम करते हैं।
والنصف الأمارة ست اللونة ثم تبذت إلا بيو متبين كفي على بابا الأمريكانو
The fairways of Qutub Golf Course set the stage as the NDTV DP World PGTI returns for its 5th edition, from surgical iron play to composed putting on greens that run true. India's top pros join the capital's corporate leaders for a celebration of skill, sportsmanship and connection. Watch at these times.
والنصف الأمارة ست اللونة ثم تبذت إلا بيو متبين كفي على بابا الأمريكانو
To understand the Tamil Nadu twist, join me in the midst of our people, language and politics. Vanakkam Tamil Nadu, here we come.
What is the current status of Iran's supreme leader Mojtaba Khamenei?
I can tell you that he's fine. I'm sure you have already heard about his message.
Haven't heard from Mojtaba Khamenei.
Now, viewers, a landmark verdict in Los Angeles could actually reshape how social media companies are held accountable. A jury has found Meta and YouTube liable for harm to a young user, awarding millions in damages to the tune of $4.2 million that will be paid by Meta and $1.8 million that will be paid by YouTube. This report, in fact, tells you why this could actually pave the way for more penalties to actually happen in the future. Take a look.
So, on question 1, did Meta violate the Unfair Practices Act by engaging in an unfair or deceptive trade practice? The jury answers yes. Question 2.
Outside a downtown Los Angeles courthouse, a 20-year-old plaintiff hugged supporters after a historic win.
Where's our mamas? Where's our mamas? We're here.
Jurors, after more than 40 hours of deliberation over 9 days, found Meta and YouTube negligent in how their platforms were designed and operated.
YouTube's defenses that they were just TV were shunned by the jury, and the jury said that YouTube, Google, failed to operate YouTube in a reasonable fashion. And it's their failure to operate it in a reasonable fashion that held YouTube accountable as well. The jury also said that YouTube failed to give reasonable warning.
The woman, identified in court as KGM, told jurors she became addicted to social media as a child, worsening her mental health struggles.
Whether it was kids in New Mexico.
The jury awarded $3 million in damages, with another $3 million recommended in punitive damages, pushing the total to $6 million pending a judge's decision.
We have fought on Capitol Hill to get reforms through. Nobody heard us. Capitol Hill, hear us now. If it was not for these trial lawyers to get us to this place in time, we would not have this opportunity today to show the world the harms that Big Tech knew they were doing. So enough. Invite us parents to Capitol Hill. Let's fix this. Big Tech, us. Let's make this world a better place.
The case is the first of its kind, holding platforms directly responsible for harm to children, and could very well influence thousands of similar lawsuits. Meta says it will appeal. YouTube says the verdict misrepresents its platform.
We respectfully disagree with the verdict and will appeal. Teen mental health is profoundly complex and cannot be linked to a single app. We'll continue to defend ourselves vigorously as every case is different, and we remain confident in our record of protecting teens online. Thank you.
TikTok and Snapchat already settled before trial. From Australia all the way to India and now the US, the legal fight and the broader debate over social media and child safety is taking center stage across the world.
These are the names of children who are no longer with us due to product design that these companies knew about all along. And truthfully, I know they're not all there, but they are all with us. They're all in our hearts. This is far too big, and the first should have been the last.
Report, NDTV World.
Sito le bolla mia tutoriano quando si fa l'amore sotto luna come te bazzata sai la bio mette bene in cappi di I love you papà l'americano.
Will the rising sun win with a hand in hand? Will the two leaves and lotus bloom? Who will whistle to success in Tamil Nadu? To understand the Tamil Nadu twist, join me in the midst of our politics and people. Vanakkam Tamil Nadu. Here we come.
What seems settled for me is unfinished business. So I rewind. I pause. I reflect. I dig until what's buried stands up to be counted. Breaking ground, not just headlines, the meaning behind them. This is Breaking Ground with me, Vedika Sood.
Across the country, he has tracked the pulse of power from Washington to Korea. Witnessed history being made in global capitals and conflict zones. Brought clarity to complex issues of national security and international affairs. Aditya Raj Kaul, covering international affairs like no one else. Only on NDTV network.
والنصف الأمارة ست اللونة ثم تبذت إلا بيو
Tamil Nadu votes decisive, uniquely the way it does.
Politics, power and cinema and all of that in an unprecedented Dravidian script.
This is not an election easy to call. It never has been.
And unravel grassroots conversations with the voices that matter.
That's why we travel across Tamil Nadu to get you the real picture. From the OG of Indian elections comes the next big political blockbuster.
Because
Tamil Nadu votes only the way Tamil Nadu does. Tamil Nadu elections on India's original election once.
والنصف الأمارة ست اللونة ثم تبذت إلا بيو
Tamil Nadu elections don't play small. They play big. High stakes, high voltage, high drama. Before the blockbuster unfolds, the OG of election coverage comes to Tamil Nadu to track the elections, spotting the mood and bringing perspectives from every side. Battleground Tamil Nadu on NDTV network.
India, a land of story and resilience. 1.4 billion hearts share this home, and the responsibility to protect it rests with all of us. As India moves towards net zero, every step matters. Walk with us as we discover the people and ideas shaping a more sustainable India. India's Sustainability Mission, an initiative by NDTV.
والنصف الأمارة ست اللونة ثم تبذت إلا بيو
Two worlds meet on the greens. Champions of the fairway, leaders of the boardroom. The battle for brilliance, the pursuit of precision. As Bengaluru hosts the season's final Pro-Am, NDTV DP World PGTI Golf Pro app. The course of champions. The conversation of leaders. 28th March.
Namaskaram, Kerala. It's a Kerala special today as far as the political discussions concerned on the southern view. I'm right here at Talamassery in Ernakulam district, and just a short distance from here, behind that ambulance that's parked there, is where Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan and Industries Minister P. Rajiv are campaigning. The heat is on in Kerala, both literally in terms of the weather as well as in terms of the political heat, as the final countdown to the assembly elections on the 9th of April is already well underway. So who's having a tacit deal with who? That's perhaps the question today, with the kind of allegations that's been made from the top brasses of both the left and the Congress. If Mallikarjun Kharge accused the LDF of having a tacit understanding with the BJP, Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan called Rahul Gandhi a B team of the BJP. But who's got who in this tacit and three-way fight in Kerala? There are several constituencies which have a close fight. Remember, important election for the UDF as well as for the LDF, the BJP wanting to prove a point. We'll have a special panel up ahead to discuss that. But first, listen in to the big political reactions that came in earlier in the day.
രാഹുൽ ഗാന്ധി അഖിലേന്ത്യാ നേതാവാണല്ലോ. പക്ഷേ സാധാരണ പ്രാദേശിക നേതാവിന്റെ, പ്രാദേശിക പ്രവർത്തകന്റെ കാര്യവിവരം പോലും ഇല്ല എന്നാണ് വസ്തുത. ഒരു കാര്യവും നേരെ ചൊവ്വയെ മനസ്സിലാക്കാൻ തയ്യാറാകില്ല. പിന്നെ കണ്ടാലും കൊണ്ടാലും പഠിക്കില്ല. അതൊന്നും രാഷ്ട്രീയ നേതാവിന് ചേർന്ന ഗുണമല്ല. ഇത്രമാത്രം അധപ്പതനം എങ്ങനെയാണ് കോൺഗ്രസുകാരാകെ സർവാദരണീയനായ നേതാവെന്ന് കാണുന്ന ഒരു നേതാവിന് ഉണ്ടാകുന്നത് എന്ന് ഒരു തരത്തിലും മനസ്സിലാക്കാൻ കഴിയാത്ത കാര്യം. ഇവിടെ രാഹുൽ ഗാന്ധിയുടെ നില എന്താ? രാഹുൽ ഗാന്ധിയും ഇന്ത്യയിലെ കോൺഗ്രസും രാജ്യത്തെ BJPയുടെ B ടീമായിട്ടാണ് പ്രവർത്തിക്കുന്നത്. അതിനുതകുന്ന സമീപനമാണ് രാഹുൽ ഗാന്ധി എല്ലായിടങ്ങളിലും സ്വീകരിക്കുന്നത്.
LDF को वोट देना means BJP को वोट देना. That is our plea to youngsters, because many people won't understand. If they give LDF, it means they are making strong BJP, and not only BJP, it is going to destroy their own future. And Congress party this time doing its best, and Pinarayi will definitely lose his government.
But they are targeting your party.
No, this time people have made up their mind to win for UDF.
The Chief Minister, who is completely banking on BJP mercy, have no moral right to say single word about Rahul Gandhi. A country know about Rahul Gandhi, Kerala know about Rahul Gandhi. This type of low-level attack against Rahul Gandhi, people of Kerala will give a befitting reply to Pinarayi Vijayan. We don't want any certificates from Pinarayi Vijayan for Rahul Gandhi. We know Rahul Gandhi, Kerala know Rahul Gandhi. That's all.
We have been pointing out various instances of collaboration between BJP and Congress. The recently held Rajya Sabha elections, 11 Congress MLAs contributed 2 additional MPs to BJP. Not even a single action has been taken. I think Congress High Command must be serving all those people with biryani. That is what is happening. Since they understood that they are going to lose Kerala, because Kerala is where the High Command's, Congress High Command's foundation is there. So they are so desperate. They want to win Kerala either by hook or crook.
Where does the BJP stand in this LDF versus UDF or the left versus Congress exchange? Is this about optics and trying to consolidate the minority vote? Is the complex world of Kerala politics at the grassroots extremely convoluted that it can tide over ideological differences, as it does in several parts, to have these nuanced electoral understandings at the tacit and grassroots level. How do we make sense of the allegations that have been made by the left and the Congress, both from Pinarayi Vijayan and from the top leadership of the Congress? Remember, the Chief Minister has taken on Rahul Gandhi directly and the Congress hitting back categorically at him. He is the big face, the Chief Minister of Kerala, Pinarayi Vijayan, of the left. Joining me this evening is Henry Austin of the Congress Party, Dr. A. Sampath of the CPIM, Colonel S. Dinny of the BJP. I'll also have our colleague and consultant for the elections for us to track Kerala very closely, Madhavan Narayanan, with us this evening. Thanks to all four of you for joining us here. Henry Austin, let me first ask you this question. Is the insinuation, and a consistent one, that the LDF has a tacit understanding with the BJP, an effort by the Congress to consolidate at least the Muslim vote in the state, which is extremely crucial for the party? An effort to consolidate the minority vote is the reason for the accusation against the LDF. True or not?
Absolutely not. I would like to reiterate that what you call as an insinuation is a reality in Kerala. Just look at the seat count. The candidates which have been put up by the NDA in most of the seats where close fights are happening, they have put up weak candidates. And they have handed over seats to their partners in the NDA. The BJP is not directly putting up candidates. Instead, they fielded candidates from parties like 2020 and BDJs. And for
Give us
example,
specific examples of seats like that.
For example, I'm from Ernakulam district. So here we have a seat called Tripunithura, which was categorized as an A category.
Right now.
Yeah, so it's easier to relate. We have a seat called Tripunithura, where the election before last, BJP polled around about 39,000 votes. The PM came and campaigned there, and they have a significant vote share. BJP has, they categorize that as an A category seat. And who have they fielded there now? No BJP candidate. They've handed it over to 2020. We can't fathom the rationale behind such a move. And similar is the case even in Rani and Korni.
Colonel Dinny, respond to that allegation that there is a tacit understanding. Wait a second, Henry. Let me get a response to what you've said from Colonel Dinny. Colonel Dinny, go ahead and answer that.
See, Raghav, just one thing, it's so ironical that the Congress says that there is an understanding between BJP and the CPM. And the CPM says that there is an understanding between the Congress and the BJP. So that itself, should make people understand what is the entire controversy. Or what
Who do you have an understanding with? That's my big question.
Absolutely. So that's what I'm coming to, Raghav. See, now, listen, this is the thing. In 28 states and 8 union territories, both these parties are together. Right and center, they are part of the India Alliance. So, there are 4 states in which elections are going on right now. Whether it is Tamil Nadu, whether it is West Bengal, Puducherry and Assam, they are fighting together there. Now, suddenly when they come to Kerala, and you have been in Kerala, you are standing in Ernakulam, suddenly they realize that no, actually BJP is with CPM, the other person say no, BJP is with Congress. So this is the fact. Now, listen, now see what kind of Congress allegation that we are having a deal with CPM. 300 of our Karyakartas have been killed by CPM in this land. 1,500 people have been injured. The living example is Mr. Sadanand Master, who is a Rajya Sabha member whose both legs were chopped off. And Congress says that we're going to have an understanding with that party. That itself is a completely ideologically opposite party. Now, CPM on the other hand, Raghav, just give me 2 minutes, 1 minute.
Henry, just give me a quick response to what Colonel is saying, and then I'll get Dr. Sampath. 1 second, let me get Henry to quickly respond to what you've said. Henry.
The absolute ridiculousness of the situation is that a party which is fighting BJP in all states of India is the Congress. The CPM has no significant stake in any of the states. And the party which says that there has to be a Congress Mukt Bharat is BJP. How can we have a truck with BJP? So it doesn't make sense, right? We are the party which is opposing BJP nationally.
Dr. Sampath into this as well. Dr. Sampath, the sense that one gets on the ground in Kerala is that the rise of the BJP has been at the cost of the CPIM and the left in a large sense in terms of the votes that it gets, at least in the places where it's coming number 2. For instance, in Palakkad. And also the sense is that the CPIM may be desperate because this is a must-win election to survive ideologically in India, and hence may be okay with a tacit understanding with the BJP. That's the insinuation made by the Congress. Your response to that?
With respect to both of my friends, I would like to invite the attention of our those now people. Quite a lot of people are watching this program. If you go through the political history of Kerala, I think it was long before, because we were not born at that time. Deen Dayal Upadhyaya ji came to campaign against Comrade E.M.S. Namboodiripad. And the Jansanghh and the Congress, both of them feel that only a single candidate, and their aim was to defeat Comrade E.M.S. Namboodiripad. But Comrade E.M.S. Namboodiripad won with a thumping majority. Then, Comrade A.K. Gopalan, the veteran communist leader, who was once the leader of the opposition group in the Lok Sabha.
I know.
Both the Congress and the Jansanghh, they tried their best and they fielded a single candidate to defeat Comrade A.K. Gopalan. But Comrade A.K. Gopalan won with thumping majority. In Malayalam, there is a saying that Ko-Li-B, the Congress, the League, and the BJP. There was in Vadagara Lok Sabha election, the Bipur Assembly election. Who were the candidates? And it was pie. And how the BJP was able to win and open an account some 10 years back from my own district, Thiruvananthapuram. Some of you may call Trivandrum. In Nemam, how Mr. Rajagopal ji won? It was because the Congress was able to sacrifice one seat. It was at the mercy of the Congress, the UDF. So it is a pie between Congress and the BJP. Because their enemy is the CPM, not only the CPM and not only the LDF. It is the state of Kerala. It is the state of Kerala. For the last 10 years, we are living in harmony without any communal clashes.
Historical context to it. Let me get Colonel Dinny into this. Colonel Dinny, a very brief question as far as what Dr. Sampath has raised. From the BJP's point of view, who is the bigger rival as far as Kerala is concerned? For instance, in a constituency like Palakkad, where you have consistently come number two, it's the UDF and the Congress that's the primary rival. Is there the possibility then of tacit understandings at the grassroots? Who would you say is your rival number one and rival number two, or does that depend and change from constituency to constituency?
Raghav, without any hesitation, let me be very clear that we only have one rival, and that is the India Alliance in Kerala, in which both the CPM and Congress are part of. There is no doubt in our mind that both of them, this particular thing. Now there are, if you look at the way they conduct themselves, have they opposed the CA bill together? Yes. What was their issue in Munambam Waqf issue? They were both together. What was the issue on Triple Talaq? They were both together. What was the issue on Ram Mandir? They were both together. So each and every, what was the issue in the Hamas case? Both of them glorified and say they are freedom fighters. So there is a lot of commonalities in what both of them say. And for us to come to power in Kerala, we have to defeat both. There is no doubt in our mind that it is against CPM or Congress. No, we have to defeat both, and that is the fear which they have.
Madhavan Narayanan as well. Madhavan Narayanan, the ideological point has been made by all sides. The ideological positions are very clear on all sides. But does that necessarily mean a barrier for tacit grassroots understandings? Because it's not about X or Y. We've heard this every time we've covered a Kerala election, that the third player could potentially play the tacit role in deciding who the first is going to be.
Yeah, Veera Raghav, let me simply use a different word rather than tacit. Let's use the word tactical rather than tacit. There is a tactical understanding because ideologically CPM and Congress may be closer, but tactically, given the fact that the BJP has only chances of making inroads in this election, it is not going to form a government in Kerala. Let's be very clear on that. So the BJP's best case scenario is to make inroads, and for it, it will put up tactical candidates accordingly. And let me also very tantalizingly point out that under Pinarayi Vijayan, the Communist Party has become more of a development-oriented party, in the sense BJP discusses Vikas. It is no longer a poor state. The Kerala in some ways is beginning to resemble the first world. So the agenda has shifted, And that is reflected in some of the, for instance, the Vizhinjam port inauguration, you saw Pinarayi Vijayan sitting with Modi, so it's no longer an untouchable party from the point of view of state development. And there are higher issues.
You're saying economic and electoral realities perhaps more important
Absolutely.
than ideological positions. And
Politics is the...
We are discussing to even P. Rajiv, the state's industries minister. 1 minute, Madhavan Narayanan, because we're coming down to the close of this debate very, very briefly. I suppose this question, we had an answer. We'll play for that later for our viewers. It is quite hot and sultry here. Very briefly, my last comments. Henry, you heard what Madhavan Narayan said. You heard what Dr. Sampath said. 20 seconds, sum up the Congress's substance for the allegations that you're making.
Right from the seat adjustments they've made, and an open support is there to bring back CPM to power by the BJP, because they have less than 20% vote share. They are not going to come to power on their own. They would rather have a CPM government in place in Kerala than a UDF government. Nationally and in the state, BJP is definitely trying for a Congress Mukt Bharat.
Yeah.
All right, Dr. Sampath, who's the bigger rival for you, the BJP or the UDF?
Yeah.
Dr. Sampath, who's the bigger rival, BJP or the UDF? Okay, we seem to have lost the connection with Dr. Sampath. Colonel Denny, finally, it boils down to all sides, accusing the other of having a tacit understanding with the BJP. In these elections, does the BJP remain a vote share getter, or will it emerge as a seat getter?
We will be a decisive force. There is no doubt in that, with Raghav. And I just have 3 points why this particular deal issue is there. Number 1 point, it is an anticipatory bail because BJP is going to make inroads in both votes of both UDF and LDF. Second point is that it is for vote bank politics. Both the fronts desperately want the minority votes. So they want to say that if you vote for LDF, it is going to go for BJP. If you vote for UDF, it is going to go for BJP. So that is basically appeasement politics. They vote bank politics of minorities. Third issue is they want to hide the real issues. That is like what Mr. Madhavan Narayan said, development issue that is not being discussed. The Sabrimala issue they don't want to discuss that issue. The economic crisis issue not to be discussed. The health sector issue not to be discussed. So to hide the real issues, they bring the deal issue.
All right, the real issues, they bring the deal issues, you say, they say differently. But of course, this political battle is going to be very nicely and closely watched from a national point of view in terms of both the continuance of the left or whether the UDF will retain perhaps what's a very, very important state, both symbolically and politically and electorally for the Congress. Thanks very much to all 4 of you for joining us this evening on the Southern View on this special episode. We're shifting focus now to the neighboring state of Karnataka. While in Kerala, MLAs are fighting to get their tickets and their seats, in Karnataka, MLAs seem to be fighting to get tickets for IPL. Senior MLAs are accusing and demanding that they cannot stand in line and they want VIP treatment and get IPL tickets from the KACA and the IPL organizers. Is it fair? Are they overstretching their power? Is there going to be a blowback? I'll put those questions to both Bhaskar Rao of the BJP and a citizen activist. But before that, listening to those political reactions and to my colleague Deepak Bhupan, who tries to set this conversation up for us.
ನಮ್ಮ ಜಮೀನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರೋದು 16 ಎಕರೆ 32 ಗುಂಟೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ಟಿಕೆಟ್ಗೆ ಅವರು ಎಷ್ಟು ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ? 2000 7,000 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಟಿಕೆಟ್ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. 20,000 3,000 20,000 ಅವರಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಇಷ್ಟು 16 ಎಕರೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಗೊತ್ತಾ? ಕೇವಲ ಅದು ಒಂದು ತಿಂಗಳಿಗೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಮಾಡೋದು, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮ್ಯಾಚ್ ನೋಡಿ 8 ಗಂಟೆಗೆ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ನಮ್ಗೆ 2,000 3,000. ನಾವು ಅವ್ರು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರೋದು 1,600 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ತಿಂಗಳಿಗೆ. 1,600 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರೋದು ನಮ್ಮ ತಲೆ ಮೇಲೆ ಎಳಿತಾರೆ. ಕೋಟ್ಯಾಂತರ ರೂಪಾಯಿ ದುಡ್ಡು ಇದೆ ಅಂತವ್ರಿಗೆ ಇವರು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಸ್ಟೇಡಿಯಂ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಂತ ಇವ್ರಿಗೆ ನಾನು ಬುದ್ಧಿ ಕಲಿಸಿ ಸರ್ ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷರೇ.
There is IPL match is going to start on 28th of this month.
Karnataka State Cricket Association has not providing the tickets for the MLAs, ministers and their families. See, they are taking all the facilities from the government. They're getting all the securities, everything. They're taking all the facilities from the government, but they are not respecting MLAs. They are not issuing the tickets. Even they are telling online. Online is all. It's all the black market. Like they are taking in the online. Their bookies are there. They are selling it in a black. One ticket which is cost 5,000 rupees, we are buying it for 35,000 rupees. So there is no facilities for MLAs and ministers. So we requested the government. Opposition leader has raised the issue in the assembly. So I also supported that, and we requested our speaker to take necessary action against them and issue the ticket, minimum 5 tickets for the MLAs.
ತಮ್ಮನ್ನ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಮ್ಮ ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ಒಂದು ಇದನ್ನ ಮಾಡಿ ಡೆಫಿನೆಟ್ಲಿ ಅದು ಕರ್ಸಿ ಏನೋ ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷರು ಗೊತ್ತು ನನಗೆ. ಓಕೆ, ನಾನು ಮೆಂಬರ್ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಮೆಂಬರ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಬರೀ ವೋಟಿಂಗ್ ಮೆಂಬರ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ನಾನು. ಕರ್ಸ್ತೀನಿ, ಕರ್ಸ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಖಂಡಿತ ಪಾಪ MLA ಕೇಳೋದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ತಪ್ಪೇನಿಲ್ಲ. ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಎವ್ರಿ ರೈಟ್. MLA ಇರುವಾಗ ಈ ಒಂದು ಬೆನಿಫಿಟ್ ಸಿಕ್ಬೇಕು. ಕೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, ಏನು ತೊಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಖಂಡಿತ ಕೇಳಿ. ಒಂದು ಸಪ್ರೇಟ್ ಒಂದು ಗ್ಯಾಲರಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಅವಕಾಶ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಡಿ ಸರ್ MLAಗಳಿಗೆ. ಸಾಮ್ರಾಟ್ ಅಶೋಕನ ಮನವಿ ಇದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. ಓಕೆ.
Well, as far as the sense of entitlement and the VIP mindset of MLAs is concerned, it seems like, they go hand in hand. Now, in the latest here in Karnataka, legislators are demanding that they should be given special IPL or cricket passes when matches happen at the M. Chinnaswamy Stadium. This was in fact brought up in the Legislative Assembly. It was brought up both by the Congress leaders and the BJP leaders, and eventually the Speaker as well weighed in the conversation and urged the Deputy Chief Minister to really look into this request. And then the Deputy Chief Minister, Mr. D.K. Shivkumar, also went on to say that he will indeed speak to the KSCA, the President there, and get this issue resolved, as he believes that MLAs indeed are entitled to these tickets. Now, the even more bizarre question here is some of the statements that have come in. Congress legislators, the Kashyap has gone on to say that they are VIPs and they cannot be made to stand in a line or a queue like the common man and made to sit among the masses, and they even want a special area, a designated VIP area for themselves and their family, and the demand is at least 4 to 5 tickets per MLA. We'll really have to see, with many activists condemning this, how these demands really play out in the days to come.
Joining us now is the BJP's Bhaskar Rao, who was also former Commissioner of Police in Bengaluru. And I suspect he may not take a political view on it and could have a strong stand on it. We'll find out. We also have Sandeep Aniruddhan as well. Mr. Bhaskar Rao, what's your sense? Should politicians get this kind of privilege? Is it even shameful to ask for this kind of privilege when people stand in long queues, faint, and even have stampedes when it comes to collecting tickets for IPL matches?
When politicians ask for something, they are ridiculed and made fun of over there. But what I want to tell you, I have managed several cricket matches in the city over there. Every time a cricket match takes place, the Commissioner of Police is flooded with requests, I want pass, etc. over there. There is no transparency in the pass system over there. Everybody is ready to buy a ticket and watch the match over there. If tickets are not available, they say, get a pass for us over there. So, if the system is working properly, nobody is going to ask for all this kind of thing. The MLAs might have asked for, but it is not only the MLAs. So many corporates also come and ask us for passes over there. So people from various government departments come and ask for passes. Only because it has come to the light of media in the assembly that MLAs are asking, you are projecting it out. I've seen Government of India officers asking for that. So many other government departments I don't want to name them because they will feel ashamed over that. Your entire pass system is so opaque that there is no justice in this over there. And I will tell you what the police finally do. The police says, we cannot get a pass for you. You come near the gate, I'll push you inside over there. But what I want to tell you is that, see, if MLA is asking for a pass, so many people are also asking for a pass over there. It is not just the MLAs who are asking for a pass over there. So you make the system proper and transparent. Nobody is going to ask you for a pass over there. Everybody will buy a ticket. What is the capacity? How many tickets are being sold?
Important point that you're making there.
Be absolutely clear.
Made this very articulate. Sandeep, we have just 1 minute left. The system is opaque and hence they all VIPs ask for pass. This is our reality. Very brief response. I need to close this in a minute.
I don't understand why people wish to be VIPs. If in a present governance system, the VIPs are citizens, because citizens are the ones who vote and employ politicians. The politicians cannot claim to be VIPs. They are the servants of the masses. I think there need to be a proper orientation for our politicians. It has to be instilled into them that they should appear for public service only when they want to serve the public, not to claim entitlement, make profits, and to misuse and extract from the system. This orientation is badly needed, because the kind of quality... You're making a very important point, Mr. Bhaskar Rao. The point that he's making, and I'll carry this debate on another day, is that politicians are responsible to make the system transparent. But I'll have to leave this conversation. I'm terribly sorry for cutting in so abruptly. We're running completely short of time because we had to fill in a lot of breaking news that came in from Kerala earlier. My apologies to both the guests, but we'll try and keep this conversation alive another day. But for the moment, that's all we have time for here. Up next, my colleague Vasudha Venugopal is up with a very special conversation from Calicut, Kozhikode, with a bunch of people from that city on the impact of the West Asia crisis to their views on these elections. Listen in.
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार विमल बोलो जुबान केसरी
Devo bene, sì, tu le vuole la mia italiano. Quando si fa l'amore sotto luna, come te va a stare la biu. Mette bene in cappi di I love you. Papà l'americano.
आपको शायद पता नहीं होगा, अपार ने आईएनएस विक्रांत के लिए 150 से ज्यादा तरह के केबल्स बनाए हैं। देश के टॉर्पीडोस में भी हैं अपार के केबल्स। वंदे भारत भी अपार के केबल से ही स्पीड पकड़ती है और यही वायर्स और केबल्स हमारे घरों को भी पावर करते हैं। विश्वास इसमें अपार, तभी तो ये है देश का तार।
From the heart of the newsroom to the core of the stories shaping your world. Join me, Gargi Rawat, as I track all the developments as they break. Live from the NDTV newsroom, weekdays at 4 p.m.
अब मैं आ रहा हूं मुंबई, वो कहानी सुनाने जिसका मेरा और मुंबई से कुछ रिश्ता है। सॉन्ग बाय सॉन्ग, मोमेंट बाय मोमेंट, ये रात उतनी बड़ी होने वाली है जितना बड़ा ये शहर है। माय स्टोरी, इंडिया चैप्टर, मुंबई एपिसोड।
Devo bene, sì, tu le vuole la mia italiano. Quando si fa l'amore sotto luna, come te va a stare la biu. Mette bene in cappi di I love you. Papà l'americano.
The man behind Roaring Lion.
Can you say a word?
Israel's warfighter prime minister on NDTV.
I spoke to our great friend, Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Spoke to him at length yesterday. Thanked him for his standing with Israel, standing for the truth, and for the enormous friendship of the people of India. They are much admired and loved in Israel. And I won't get into the details of the conversation, but I've spoken to him and I've spoken to many other leaders in the region and beyond. Thank you.
First word since he declared war on Iran. Just behind me, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. An NDTV world exclusive to Aditya Raj call. Benjamin Netanyahu on NDTV.
Devo bene, sì, tu le vuoi la mia cittadina. Quando si fa l'amore sotto luna, come te va